Chapter 2, Past. In a red and dreary world called Hell, a young demon named Golime was born. She was different from the other demons, for she had no inner power. She was mocked and ridiculed by demons at as low as age 2 that she started school, called a bastard, and a failure. No matter what she did, she was never good enough. She tried to hide her lack of power, but it was always exposed. Other demons would spit on her and trample her as they passed by, even in the street. Golime's mother tried everything she could to help her daughter gain inner power, but nothing worked. In the schoolyard, Golime was always alone. She watched as the other demons played at age 3 and laughed together, but she was never included. When she tried to join in, they would run away from her or tell her to go away. She felt like she was invisible, like she didn't even exist. She will always look dejectedly like a lost orphan child, and the bad words and shame of powerlessness made her feel lower than a trash. The reason everyone finds out about her lack of inner power is that 1. At age 1, it is expected for an inner power demon checker to check if a demon offspring possessed her inner power, but she was found with none. The words about her spread like wildfire, most especially with the fact that her mother is one of the most powerful demons in hell. Her lack of inner power came as a surprise to her parents, but they were willing to protect her and the others, use that as a means of mockery to both Golime and her mother. Despite saying bad words about Golime's mother behind her back, they were only silent about it when she was near because of her power. Inner power is in various forms. It can be seen as a driven force, authority, or will to wield any element, which includes fire, water, wind, ground. There are other special abilities and powers it adds to it apart from this. Golime point of view. One day at age 5, I gathered courage and approached a group of demons who were playing ball. I asked if I could join in. They turned and looked at me with disgust. "Go away, you have no power," they said, laughing. I turned and walked away, my head hung low. Tears stung my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I couldn't bear to show any weakness, not in front of the other demons, or else they will mock me more. As I walked back to the edge of the schoolyard, I heard whispers behind me. "What a useless demon. She'll never amount to anything." It is such a shame that someone as powerful as her mother gave birth to such a useless child. The words cut me like knives, and I bit my lip to keep from crying out. I knew they were right. Without inner power, I would never be anything more than a disappointment. I learned that in school, and I am so useless to be born by someone of great reputation causing flaws. I should have never been born. Time passes and years turn into more years of loneliness, sadness, shame, rejection, and outcast. Age 8. At home, I sat alone in my room. I gazed out the window, watching the red atmosphere. The sight was beautiful, but it only served to remind me of the color of the blood that had been spat at me earlier this day. I wanted to be strong, but it was so hard when everyone around me saw me as weak. My mother had told me that inner power is something I may have in the future, but the truth is that there is a comma in her words. She is not very sure. There has been a case of someone before me who committed suicide and die after many years of trying and seeking for solution. Well, too bad for me that I will have to tolerate worst heartbreak and pain because I can't even think of killing myself, thereby leaving my parents in pain and agony. The door creaked open and my mother stepped into the room. "Golime," she said, her voice soft. "I know it's been hard, but please don't give up. I'm going to find a way to help you. There has to be a way to unlock your inner power. I just know it." Her mother's words were filled with hope and determination, but I could only muster a small smile. I wanted to believe that my mother was right, but the doubts and fears were too strong. I know of a certain man whom my parents seek help from that said, "I have nothing talkless of unlocking." That night, as I lay in bed, I thought about the possibility of finding inner power. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't see a way to make it happen. I closed my eyes, and a single tear rolled down my cheek. I was so tired of feeling like a failure. Maybe, just maybe, there was a way for me to find my inner power after all, but the voice of that old male demon kept ringing into my ears. She had no inner power, talkless of unlocking it. The next full read, I was playing with my friend who lives close to us and does not hate me despite the stern warnings of Helen's mother. But then Helen's mother appeared once more, her face dark with anger. "What did I tell you?" She hissed. "You are not to play with this girl. She is a bad influence, and you will never amount to anything if you keep associating with her." I looked down at my feet, my eyes filling with tears. But then I looked up and my eyes met Helen's. Our friendship was blossoming, but Helen's mother would not allow it. She continued to be cold and cruel, even though Helen did everything she could to beg her. Helen's mother looked at me with pure hatred in her eyes. "You are a curse," she said, her voice dripping with venom. "You are nothing but bad luck, and I won't have you bringing that into my daughter's life. You are an outcast, a failure, and you will never amount to anything. I will not allow you to ruin my daughter's life. You are worthless. You are nothing." Tears streamed down my face once more, but I did not make a sound. Helen stood there, frozen, her eyes wide with shock. Helen's mother turned to her daughter and said, "You are not to speak to this girl ever again. I don't want her dark shadow touching your life. Do you understand?" Helen's voice trembled as she replied, "But Mom, she's my friend." Her mother's face was stony. "She is not your friend. She is nothing but a bad omen, and I will not have her in our lives. Do you understand?" Helen bit her lip and nodded. She felt helpless. I could barely see through my tears as I walked home. My whole body felt numb, and I could barely feel the ground beneath my feet. When I reached our front door, I paused for a moment, unsure of what to do. Then, I turned the handle and went inside. My parents were in the kitchen, talking in hushed tones. They stopped when they saw me. "Golime, what's wrong?" my mom asked. I burst into tears, and my mom rushed to my side. I sobbed, "Mom, I just want to be friends with Helen, but her mother said I can't. She said I'm a bad omen and that I'll never amount to anything. I don't know what to do." My mother pulled me close, and I felt a tiny bit of comfort in her embrace. "It's okay, honey," my mom said softly. "You are not a bad omen. You are a beautiful, wonderful female demon, and you deserve to have friends." "I know it's hard right now," my father said, "but I promise you that you will find friends who appreciate you for who you are." The next day, being a school-free day, I was sent on an errand to the market by my mom. As I made my way to the market, I felt a knot of dread forming in my stomach. I was always anxious when I had to go out for fear of what people might say, but I just have to. I disliked the way they stared at me, their eyes full of contempt. I entered the market and headed for the fruit stand, where I knew the worst taunts were always hurled. As I approached, I could feel the eyes on me, boring into me like lasers. "It's her," one of the demons in the crowd whispered. "The one without inner power." Another joined in. "She's not even a real demon, just some sort of freak." The words stung like arrows, each one more painful than the last. My heart was pounding, my hands trembling. I tried to ignore the words, but they just kept coming. "Look at her, all alone," someone sneered. "No one wants to be near her, not even her own kind." The words were like knives, cutting me to the core. I felt like I might collapse from the weight of their cruelty. I tried to keep my head down and move on, but it was impossible to escape the hateful whispers. The weight of their words was crushing me, and I felt myself starting to break. I trudged from vendor to vendor, each time hoping for a different result. But each time I was met with the same cruel words and the same cold stares. "We don't sell to your kind," one vendor spat. "You'll bring bad luck to our business." Another simply said, "Go away, you're not welcome here." I felt my heart sinking lower and lower. It was as if the whole world was against me, and I was nothing but a bother to everyone. I felt so small and insignificant, like a speck of dirt on the ground. I am alone, I thought. I am nothing but a burden to hell, unwanted and unloved. As I walked through the market, the whispers followed me like shadows, never leaving my side. No matter where I went, they were there, mocking and laughing at me. I wanted to run away, to hide from the world, to escape the cruelty that seemed to follow me everywhere. But where could I go? I had nowhere to hide, no one to turn to. I felt so lost and alone. Tears welled up in my eyes, threatening to spill over. I tried to hold them back, but it was no use. The tears came flooding down, hot and stinging, as I stood there, surrounded by the harsh words and cold stares. I felt so small and helpless, lost in a world that didn't want me. I longed for a place where I could feel safe, a place where I could be accepted and loved. but I knew such a place did not exist. My heart ached and my whole body trembled. Suddenly, I felt a soft hand on my shoulder. Story, written by King J1, protected under the Copyright Act 2025. Reproduction or adaptation without permission is prohibited. Kindly make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next chapter.